Hey, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about how to properly oil and grease your spinning reel. I have another video about how to properly oil and grease your casting reel, and if you're interested in that, I'm going to include a link to that right up in the corner. So check that out. So let's start off with what you're going to need to do this. You're going to need some reel oil. You're going to need some reel grease. Reel grease comes in just regular reel grease, or it can be specialized. Like this is particularly for spinning reel. The spinning reel grease has a little higher viscosity. You're going to need some screwdrivers. I got a couple of different sizes because I got some different size screws. Maybe a set of pliers, maybe a wrench. Depends on, how tight some of that stuff is in there for you. So let's start off. First thing you're going to want to do is remove the handle. So you just loosen this nut on the opposite side of your handle. It's quite a long nut, so it takes a little bit to get it off of there. But once that is undone, then your handle just slides right out of there. Be careful, there's a little plastic piece on there usually. So we'll set that aside. Next thing you're going to want to do is remove this back cover. And most of the spinning reels have a back cover like this. And it's usually one or two screws in there. Just be careful and look around and make sure that you get all the screws out of there before you start trying to take that cover off of there. Sometimes they'll have another screw right in here that holds that back cover on. So just be careful when you're doing that. Set that aside. That reveals these two screws right here, so you can get this side plate off. Before I take the side plate off over here, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unscrew my drag as far as it'll go until I can pull this spindle off. I can set that aside. That's two separate pieces there. Now I have a little gear here, and usually there's a spacer on it, so be careful. And they're just put on there with pressure, so they should just pull right off. And that's those. Then you'll see you have a nut down here, and you have a screw, and the purpose of that screw is to keep that nut from spinning because it's not usually that tight. So I'm going to take that screw out first. Set that aside, and be careful with your screws because there are different sizes, and you don't want to get them mixed up. So that's a little tight right now, so I'm going to grab my pliers first and see if I can just, and one thing to note on this is these things sometimes, like this one, is reversed threaded. So you think you're spinning it the right way, you might not be. So the old righty-tighty, lefty-loosey doesn't apply on this one. So there, that nut comes off. And then now I can slide this right off of here, set that aside, and you'll see while I'm here right now, there's bearings right there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my reel oil while I'm here, and I'm going to hit that bearing with 2 or 3 drops of oil, and that'll work it in there once we put this all back together and give it a spin. So now I can take this side plate off. There we go, we got all the screws out. Let's just be able to lift this right up off of here. And you got to be careful because that can come loose too. So that was sitting right down in there like that. Now, if you're not comfortable with removing this piece here, certainly you don't have to. And I'll show you something here that's happened before I do that. My bearings stayed up in here. So that bearing is sitting right on top of there. So I'm going to take that off. And like I said, you don't have to do this because you can get at your worm gear right through here if you want to. And just put your grease in through there. But I like to take this off. And there's a couple of little spacer washers in there, so be careful with those. And then this will pop right out of here. And now I can really get at it and really get my grease in there good. So I'm going to put some grease on this worm gear here. I'm going to put some down here on the winder gear, all the way down in there. And you don't have to put a lot. You don't want it getting gummed up, but you can work it a little bit while you have it open. Just be careful so it doesn't jam up on you like it just did me. There. Now I can take this gear and put that back down in there. I got that grease in there good. I want to take my spacers. See, there's two of them there, so let me grab this. One's a very flimsy little one here. I want to put that on first. There we go. Get my second one on there. Get my bearings on there. Now I'm going to put some oil on these bearings. Like I said, about 2 or 3 drops. That'll all work in there. Now I can put my side plate back on and put the screws in for that. And get those all in there nice and tight so that you keep that dirt and debris out of there. Now we can put our bail back on, and then we want to put the nut back on next, and I'll remember that mine's a reverse thread this time. All right, get it so that I can put my screw in there. All right, now I'm going to put my gear and my spacer back on here. Ooh. There we go. Now I can put my spindle back on. Tighten up that drag nut there. Let's put that back cover on next. That's good. Put my handle on. I'm a lefty, so, well, I'm not a lefty, but I like my rod to be a left retrieve. And that's it. And it's spinning great, and it's all ready for next season. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a good one.